The strongest Pokemon. When you hear those words, you probably think of Pokemon like Mewtwo, legends like Groudon or Kyogre, Dialga and Palkia, or even the Pokemon god, Arceus. But if we don't include these legendary behemoths, what exactly are the strongest Pokemon in the anime? Today we're going to answer that question, and I say we because I brought on a friend today to help me out.
Yo, it's your boy Luap, and if there's one thing I know, it's about Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's not going to help me in today's video, so another thing that I got in my bag is Pokemon, so let's put that knowledge to the test. The Pokemon anime has blessed us with many strong Pokemon we got to see on screen, and we thought it'd be fun to handpick the strongest one for each type.
There have been plenty of strong Pokemon throughout the anime's long history, but only the best of the best will be included here. Let us know in the comments what your picks would be for each type, and with that said, let's get started. So firstly, before we actually determine the strongest Pokemon, there are some ground rules to cover. It's important to note that if a Pokemon is dual type like Ash's Lucario, it can only be the strongest Pokemon for one of its typings. So if we choose the Steel type for Lucario, it can't be the strongest fighting type, and vice versa.
Secondly, each trainer whose Pokemon makes an appearance on this list will be limited to just 3 Pokemon. Otherwise, this list would seriously lack diversity, as Ash's entire Journey's team would be on this list for a third of it, and another third would probably be Leon's team. And of course, as previously stated, we're not including any legendary or mythical Pokemon for this list, as we want to see who truly are the strongest Pokemon that regular trainers own, as legendaries and mythicals already possess far superior strength. However, there will be one slight exception that we'll get into later.
The last thing to note is that despite how bad Pokemon's power scaling can be at times, and especially in Pokemon Journeys of all series, we need to objectively look at all the wins that these Pokemon were able to achieve. So if they got a win against a noteworthy Pokemon, for instance Leon defeating Alon's Mega Charizard X, the poor power scaling doesn't matter. Leon got the win in that match, so it counts in favor of Leon's Charizard. With that said, I think that covers all the ground rules for this video, so let's kick things off with the strongest grass type.
For the strongest grass type, we have Leon's cracked Rillaboom. This thing was an absolute menace who showed up in the Masters 8 and just obliterated Pokemon each time it came on screen. It took names against Alon, Diantha, and Ash. When it went down, it never went down alone, as it always took at least one Pokemon down with it every time, and even has the record for defeating the most Pokemon in the tournament with a total of 7 knockouts across 3 battles. The times it did lose were against Alon's ace in Charizard, Diantha's ace in Mega Gardevoir, and Ash's, well, not his ace, but he was defeated by Dracovish after it was already weakened beforehand. I think we can confidently say that Rillaboom is Leon's second strongest Pokemon.
Not with this! Not with this! Not with this! Oh!
And it even has the cool factor with Leon going to Gigantamax it to hype up the crowd to start the Masters 8 tournament.
The strongest water type is without a doubt Ash's Greninja, the legendary Ash Greninja. Ash's Greninja solidified itself as a prime battler since it was a Froakie, helping to achieve victory in Grand Salage City Gym, being a strong battler in Ash's battle against the Ramos and Olympia, and even the one that scored the final win against Wolfric and his Mega Abomasnow in the Snowbell City Gym. But as we all know, what really makes Greninja stand out above all other water types is its bond phenomenon with Ash. It's able to go beyond evolution in a fashion similar to Mega Evolution, which hopefully will return in Pokemon Legends ZA. Thanks to the bond phenomenon, Ash and Greninja have faced off against some pretty powerful opponents and won numerous battles.
At the beginning of the Kalos League, it's able to one-shot an Altaria, it defeated Sawyer's Mega Sceptile, and as previously mentioned, it defeated Wolfric's Mega Abomasnow with a 10-piece combo no biscuits, and it came close to defeating Alon's Mega Charizard X2. Keep in mind, Alon's Charizard by the time of the Kalos League had helped Alon win in 8 Kalos Gym battles, defeated 10 Mega Evolved Pokemon in a row without breaking a sweat, and that includes Mega Houndoom of the Elite Four. It's gone toe-to-toe against Steven's Mega Metagross, and it even battled against Primal Groudon and Kyogre and did big boy damage to Zygarde.
So the fact that Ash's Greninja can stand up to this beast is incredible, but what's even more impressive is the fact that Greninja almost defeated Diantha's Mega Gardevoir when the transformation wasn't even mastered yet. Greninja is easily deserving of the title of the strongest water type.
For fire Pokemon, there is also one clear legend that stands clear and above all others, and that would be Ash's Torkoal. I only kid, of course, it has to be Leon's Charizard. I could just end my entry right here and you'd know why, but because Blaze is paying me 1 Pokédollar for every word that I say, it's yap time. Leon's Charizard is his ace Pokemon that led him to be undefeated for many years and also claimed the title of the World Monarch. Charizard was Leon's starter Pokemon, and no, I'm not going to say first partner Pokemon. We saw it defeat Lance's Gyarados, Raihan's Duraludon, Diantha's Mega Gardevoir, Flint's Infernape, and Alon's Charizard, and these Pokemon are so strong that many of them are on this list. The only time it was ever taken down was due to the power of friendship, and, well, who could ever really defeat that?
For the electric type, there's only one clear option, and that is Ash's Pikachu.
Was it really gonna be any other Pokemon?
Pikachu has been with Ash since the very beginning and has helped him win a plethora of battles, from his first real gym victory against Lieutenant Surge to defeating Claire's Gyarados, defeating Brandon's Regice, which would become the first of multiple legendary Pokemon that Pikachu would become capable of defeating. Pikachu, along with the combined effort of his Alola team, is the reason Ash became the Alola champion as well by landing the final blow against Tapu Koko in an all-out Z-move showdown. Together, Ash and Pikachu finally took home a League Champion title after 20 plus years. Pikachu also has other points in its favor, such as its incredible speed and versatility. There's no better example than when Pikachu delivered the world's fastest quick attack on Leon's Charizard in the Masters 8. Volt Tackle and Electro Ball were great attacking moves for Pikachu to have, but switching to Electro Web in the Alola region really made Pikachu much more versatile and strategic in battle, as it could use it to defend, block attacks, trap opponents, and even use it as a springboard. Electro Web was objectively way more useful for Pikachu. It's got a fierce fighting spirit, high endurance, and is in total sync with Ash. Pikachu has so many noteworthy feats, such as defeating both Alon's Tyranitar and Metagross in the same battle, making his Charizard take a knee, giving Karina's Lucario the game over screen, tying with Tobias's Latios, defeating Gladion's Savalli, knocking out Steven's Mega Metagross. It put up a hell of a fight against Splint's Infernape, and of course, defeated Leon's Charizard, allowing Ash to become the new world champion. Pikachu will always be Ash's #1 ace partner, and no other electric-type Pokemon can even come close to being as deserving of this title as Ash's Pikachu. Who else could we choose for the normal type other than Ash's powerhouse Snorlax? No, seriously, there was literally no other option.
I know it seems crazy that there's not a single trainer with a noteworthy normal type in the entire anime, but it's true. And remember when we said there would be one legendary exception in this video? Well, that's because the exception is for this section being Gladion's powerful Savalli. Now, aside from Gladion, Savalli, and Ash's Snorlax, name one other normal type Pokemon that we should consider. Got any guesses? Need more time? You can't name one, can you? And some of you are probably typing, oh, Ash's Tauros is a good one and even competed in the Battle Frontier and beat Annabelle's Metagross. And to that I say, besides that, what has Tauros actually done? It just doesn't stack up against these two. At least Savalli is supposed to be an Ultra Beast killer, showed off its strength in the low league, and became any type it wants via memory discs. But again, it is legendary, so we're not counting it here.
When it comes to Ash's Snorlax, it may be lazy and love to eat, but when it's time to battle, the boy can square up. It's defeated Claire's Kingdra in the Blackthorn City Gym, came in clutch against Gary in the Johto League, famously used 6 moves in one episode. Let's not forget that in the same episode, Ash was using Snorlax in a Battle Frontier match where Snorlax was his last option since Grovyle got pummeled by Hariyama. The boy toughed it out against not one, but 2 strong fighting types. It got bombarded with Arm Thrust and got slapped with a ton of focus punches, yet still took home a win for Ash. And then it even returned to get Ash an early win in the Sinnoh League. With famous moves like its Rest, Body Slam, and noteworthy Ice Punch, along with its endurance, Snorlax is clearly the strongest normal type.
The bug type hands down has to be the hardest part of this list, as there haven't been really any noteworthy ones thrown off in the anime. Bug is notorious for being one of the weaker types in the Pokemon franchise, and the anime is no different. One of the first Pokemon that came to mind is Ash's Heracross, but can that really be the strongest bug type in the entire history of the anime? Probably not, right? So we had to put our thinking caps on and think of any and all bug specialists, and the one that came to our mind was actually Guzma. He was a trainer who sported 2 very strong bug Pokemon, those being Golisopod and Scizor. Ultimately, we decided that Golisopod was the strongest, being the ace Pokemon of Guzma who made it all the way to the top 4, means it's definitely worthy of being on this list. The biggest thing holding it back is its ability, but otherwise it defeated Lana's Primarina and Ash's Torracat, who was a very strong Pokemon in its own right. It was eventually defeated by Ash's Pikachu, but I mean, come on, who wasn't? Flying is one of the most diverse types that there are, and it shows with its representation in the Pokemon anime. In terms of raw power though, there is one Pokemon in the Masters 8 that makes it easy to add to this list, and that would have to be Lance's Gyarados. Now, I know that we may never actually have saw it knock out any Pokemon, but that's just due to the nature of the Pokemon they went up against. Going up against Diantha's Gourgeist, it was not in its advantage that Diantha used a strategy that Lance was not expecting, and that is what ultimately led to its demise. But the other battle that really sets it apart against anything else is against Leon's Charizard. Like, sure, it has the type advantage, but it was the strongest Pokemon in the world, and it had Thunder Punch, which is 4 times super effective against Gyarados. It put up an amazing fight against Leon, really pushing his back against the wall, and was honestly one of the best battles that the anime ever did. In fact, me and Blaze made a video talking about the best battle of the Pokemon anime history that doesn't include Ash Ketchum, and spoiler alert, this one battle was in there. It was that good. It really is a shame that it wasn't ever able to secure a knockout on screen, but it helped Lance reach the Masters 8 twice and allowed him to win the Drifio Pokemon World Tournament.
Poison was a difficult category to decide until we looked at Diamond and Pearl and realized that Paul's deadly Drapion was the best poison type there is. Now you could argue it should be a Pokemon like Cynthia's Roserade since she's champion level, but Roserade has really not had enough screen time to warrant getting this title. With Paul's Drapion, it immediately showcased that it was a menace on the battlefield. Let's go through its feats, shall we? It started by countering Ash's Buizel and immobilizing it. Even when it does escape, it uses that time to set up Toxic Spikes to counter and cripple Ash's entire team. It poisons Buizel and mercilessly knocks it out with Pin Missile. Then it dodges Staraptor's Aerial Ace, which shows it has fast reflexes. It hits it with Cross Poison, then slams it into the ground to poison it with Toxic Spikes and knocks it out. Then it squares up against Ash's Torterra and catches it in midair with its claws like it weighs nothing. It hits it with a Poison Fang and then demolishes it with Pin Missile. Drapion even did considerable damage to Ash's Gliscor before being defeated. This monster went 3-0 in a clean sweep against Ash's team. That is some impressive power and makes it deserving of being crowned the strongest poison type.
It's really hard not to include Masters 8 Pokemon in the strongest Pokemon ever, since it was literally a gathering of the strongest trainers and therefore strongest Pokemon in the world. But up next we have the ever sturdy Rock type. We have a few candidates to consider, but I think it's time to give the spotlight to my favorite champion ever, Steven Stone. And as his name would suggest, he's a Rock type expert. Well, he's supposed to be Steel, but whatever. The Rock type that we suggested for this list is gonna be Credilli. It was a very fun to watch Pokemon that gave Ash a lot of trouble. With its moveset, it's able to knock out Ash's Gengar and give Pikachu a run for its money. Its battle style was not only dealing powerful attacks with moves like Meteor Beam, Rock Blast, and Power Whip, but also sustaining very well with Ingrain. It's a Pokemon that will have no problem dealing massive blows and staying on the field for an extremely long period of time.
Now let's talk about the Rock type's cooler cousin, the Ground type, as the strongest Ground type is none other than Cynthia's dominant Garchomp. From the moment this beast debuted in the anime, it consistently demonstrated why it was a force to be reckoned with. In its debut battle, it easily defeated Paul's Murkrow, Weavile, Chimchar, and Torterra in a clean 4-0 sweep. On top of the Ground type, it also sports the powerful Dragon type and is the pseudo-legendary of Sinnoh after all. It would later go on to be shown defeating Flint's Infernape at the end of the Diamond and Pearl anime. It battled against Caitlyn's Gothitelle of the Unova Elite Four, was able to stand up to the Kami trio of Landorus, Thundurus, and Tornadus in their Therian forms during Operation Tempest, and went up against Ash's Sirfetch'd and Mega Lucario.
Let's not forget that in Pokemon Journeys, Cynthia in the most fabulous way possible revealed that she had unlocked the power of Mega Evolution with her Garchomp, making it an even more fearsome threat on the battlefield. Garchomp in its base form was even giving Ash's Aura boosted Mega Lucario a run for its money and almost won. And before that, it defeated Iris's Haxorus, which is now a champion level Pokemon.
It's also the Pokemon that seemingly dethroned Alder as Unova's champion. For years, Garchomp has been renowned as a powerful threat by many trainers, and it should not be taken lightly.
There have been 3 strong Steel types that have been shown off in the anime, but our choice would have to be a Masters 8 level Pokemon, and that's Raihan's ever-reliable ace, Duraludon. Now, it was in the Masters 8 at one point, and it was a Pokemon that always put up a good fight, but much like Lance's Gyarados, we actually never saw it get a win on screen, which is such a shame. Much like Gyarados, this only happened due to the level of Pokemon that it went up against. In both its fights against Ash's Lucario and Leon's Charizard, it pushed both Pokemon and trainer back and made them go full tryhard in order to win. Mind you, these two ended up being the 2 strongest trainers in the world, and basically the strongest Pokemon in the world, and there's nothing to be ashamed about there. It had a really strong moveset with Metal Claw, Iron Defense, Stone Edge, Steel Beam, and Breaking Swipe. It leads for a really good balance between both offense and defense, which is always a key to success in the anime. And you can't even forget about the fact that it can Gigantamax, which leads it to have an even stronger impact on the battlefield. Fighting Pokemon truly have a fighting spirit, and this one is no different, although it's a Pokemon you might not be expecting. We had to dig deep to think of which Pokemon would be strongest to fit this type, since by then we had already decided to use other Ash Pokemon for other entries, and with that, we decided on Flint's Infernape to take the spot. This is another Pokemon that at one point was literally in the Masters 8. We've only ever seen this thing battle against elite Pokemon, those being Ash's Infernape, Cynthia's Garchomp, and Leon's Charizard. Now, 2 of these Pokemon are on this list, and as for Ash's Infernape, it could have easily been the one mentioned here. However, Flint does have the advantage for several reasons. For one, it was Flint's Infernape that came out victorious in their one-on-one battle, so there's that, and also it went toe-to-toe with Cynthia's Garchomp at the end of the DP saga, and at this point in the anime, no one had ever defeated Cynthia in a battle, much less knocking out her Garchomp. It put up a fantastic fight for all to see, and the next battle was also seen on TV in Universe, which was his Masters 8 battle against Leon and Charizard. They did lose this one once again, but again, it was against an undefeated trainer and their ace Pokemon. Flint's Infernape proves it has raw strength time and time again, and with no battle mechanics, it was able to take an Elite Four trainer to the Masters 8.
Ice was another tricky decision to make, but let's give it up for Wulfric's chilling Mega Abomasnow. In Ash's last ever gym battle, gosh that's still crazy to think about, his last obstacle was Wulfric's behemoth that is Mega Abomasnow. Compared to Ash's Greninja, it seemed like a towering giant monster. It was an aggressive beast with moves like Wood Hammer and Ice Punch. Although it was previously defeated by Ash's Hawlucha in their first match, this Pokemon was going toe-to-toe with Ash's Greninja, which has now mastered the Bond phenomenon. Even when it hadn't mastered that power, it came close to defeating Dianth's Mega Gardevoir as we said before. So the fact that Wulfric's Abomasnow is giving it quite a difficult battle says a lot about the power of this Pokemon. And there are other strong ice types such as Dianth's Auroras or Leon's Mr. Rime or even Candace's Abomasnow, but none of them made the lasting impression and impact that Wulfric's Abomasnow did. Hold on to your butts because now we're looking at spooky ghost types, and the strongest one that we found was Cynthia's Daunting Spiritomb. Just like Paul's Drapion, this Pokemon came onto the battlefield and cooked Ash's team on high heat. This Pokemon firstly only has one weakness, being the Fairy type, and Ash's only Pokemon with a Fairy type move is Gengar, which is also weak to Spiritomb. It then proceeds to use a nasty Hypnosis and Dream Eater combo to completely immobilize Ash's Dragonite and render it useless, scoring an easy win. Then despite taking damage from Gengar's Dazzling Gleam, it still knocks out Gengar with Sucker Punch. Then to top it off, and what makes it truly scary is that not only did it take out Ash's pseudo-legendary and G-Max Pokemon on the team, it then also takes down Pikachu, his ace Pokemon and designated Z-move user. Despite being taken down with Thunderbolt and Iron Tail, Spiritomb had one last trick up its sleeve. It uses the terrifying move Destiny Bond to drag Pikachu down with it. I've never seen a scarier knockout in the Pokemon anime than this moment right here. Despite Cynthia switching into Roserade and Gastrodon to counter Gengar and Pikachu, Spiritomb still delivered the final blow to Ash's 3 heaviest hitters on his Journeys team. Spiritomb may have only had one battle, but it made one hell of an impression in the Masters 8.
Dark-type is one of the most underrated types in all of Pokemon in my opinion, but the anime gave us plenty of hard-hitting dark types to choose from. Ultimately, we went with Professor Kukui's ace Pokemon Incineroar. At first we thought we'd go with the Mass Royals, but Kukui's just barely edged it out. The starter Pokemon are basically the strongest native-born Alolan trader and has to be considered, especially with all of the feats that the cat has. It has a strong moveset and access to what a lot of Pokemon on this list don't have, and that's Z-moves. It has taken down Mega Pokemon in its base form and has gone toe-to-toe with very strong adversaries. It shines best in Battle Royales, where it's fighting against multiple Pokemon at once. Just to make sure we knew how strong this thing is, during Pokemon Journeys it participated in another one, and it even did better than an Ultra Beast. Incineroar being an absolute beast that it is in VGC would make for a fantastic Pokemon if the anime ever decided to give us more dynamic double battles too.
There's no better choice for the strongest Psychic type than Steven's shiny Mega Metagross. Debuting in the Mega Evolution specials that brought Alon into the anime, Steven's Metagross quickly made a name for itself by going blow for blow with Alon's Mega Charizard X. Up until meeting Steven, Alon's Charizard was practically an unstoppable force, having only lost to Seabold's Mega Blastoise. But Steven proves why he's a champion, and had their battle finished, I'm confident Steven would have won despite the type disadvantage.
It also tanked Charizard's Blast Burn like it was nothing more than a small Ember attack.
Metagross would also go on to duke it out against Mega Rayquaza as well as Primal Groudon and Kyogre, and was even dealing that big boy damage to Primal Kyogre. This analytical, intelligent, and durable Pokemon also helped out in the Team Flare arc against the moving Monolith alongside Diantha and her Mega Gardevoir. Steven's Metagross has overwhelming psychic strength, and being one of Hoenn's pseudo-legendaries gives it another point in its favor. With all these feats in mind, it's clearly the strongest psychic type.
The second to last type we'll be covering is the last type introduced in the Pokemon franchise, and that's Fairy. For Fairy, I don't think many Pokemon could fit the bill other than Diantha's Gardevoir. We got the ace Pokemon of the Kalos champion herself, who has fought against many strong Pokemon and made it all the way to the top 4 of the current Masters 8 tournament. It went up against the overpowered Ash Greninja, and was one of the few Pokemon that were able to put an end to Leon's ferocious Rillaboom. Sure, it was defeated by Leon's Charizard, but then again, not many Pokemon were able to do that without the power of friendship, which apparently it doesn't have. When this thing goes Mega, it goes full Synchro mode with Diantha and is extremely quick, intelligent, and hits harder than a truck. It has a very diverse moveset capable of hitting many different types of Pokemon, and you can't forget that it was in the front lines dealing with the giant rock, so you know this thing has confidence.
And lastly, we've come to the strongest dragon type, which of course had to be awarded to Alon's dominant Charizard, and specifically when it Mega Evolves. Out of all Mega Evolutions introduced in Generation 6, there aren't as many that are as iconic as Alon's Mega Charizard X. Introduced in the Mega Evolution specials that aired alongside the Pokemon XYZ anime, Alon's Charizard quickly became a fan favorite Pokemon as it continuously displayed its epic battle prowess and sheer strength. It's been forever since we had seen a Charizard as cool as Ash's. His Charizard had many noteworthy feats, such as defeating 10 Mega Evolved Pokemon in a row, which included Elite Four Malva's Mega Houndoom, duked it out against Primal Groudon and Kyogre, against Mega Rayquaza, told Zygarde to sit down, and is responsible for giving Alon the distinction for being the only rival that Ash has never once gotten a win against. Typically, we'd see Ash lose over and over to his rival, or even tie with them at least once before going to the league. But in this case, Ash never claimed any kind of victory over Alon, not even once, and that's all thanks to Charizard. Even Ash's powerful Greninja couldn't defeat this beast even after mastering the power of the Bond phenomenon. This Charizard was so powerful that it allowed Alon to pull a Tobias and advance to the semifinals using just Charizard, at which point he also used Metagross in the semifinals. Charizard's power here isn't rivaled by many Pokemon, so therefore we have it as the strongest dragon type. Every Pokemon on this list definitely deserved to be here, but these were just our choices, so let us know if any other Pokemon are deserving of being the strongest of their respective typing. And of course, a big shout out to my boy Luap who helped me finalize this list. It was a great time working with him. Be sure to check out his channel with the link in the description, as he makes great Pokemon anime content. We even did a collab together on his channel recently. Thank you to our channel members for their extra support, and click the videos on screen for more Pokemon anime content. I think you'll like them. Until next time, train hard, and I'll catch you guys later.